Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how to stop popping up your driver. If this is a shot that ails you, I'm going to give you some fixes that it'll never happen again. So smash that like button, subscribe to my YouTube channel, comment, and are you enjoying the content on my YouTube channel? You want to see more? Then support me by becoming a member, joining my YouTube channel. Go to the description below, click on the link, you'll find more information there. Also, for 2024, I'm taking a limited amount of students to do some remote coaching with me through the CoachNow app. Again, go to the description below, click on the link, you'll find details there. And last but certainly not least, if you're not already a member, please join our Facebook group, Golf Lessons for Left-Handed Golfers. You don't have to be a left-handed golfer to join. It's just another platform you can interact with me, interact with our community. Okay, so the first thing we have to discuss is what's the DNA of a pop-up? Like, where does it come from? What makes it happen? And the reason I want to talk about this is I get a lot of students on my lesson tee that actually think it comes from something completely different than where it does. And so a lot of people think that a pop-up comes from hitting too much up on the golf ball. So they're pointing all the loft of the club up to the sky, and that's what makes it launch so high, launch up into the air. And so what I have to help them understand, or I show them, which I'm about to show you, is what truly causes a pop-up is that the golf ball starts hitting too high in the club face. And when it hits high in the club face, first of all, you can see there's a ton of loft up in the top of the club face. But the other thing is the ball starts to hit what we call the crown of the driver, which is the top edge of the driver. So it starts to hit into the crown, and that reaction when the ball hits up top here, I think we can all see that is definitely going to make it go up. It's not going to make it go down or flat. So it's that high contact in the club face that causes the pop-up. It's not the action of you actually, wow, I'm hitting up so much, I've got to be look at how high that ball's launching. I must be pointing all that loft as I'm hitting the ball. It must be pointing all that loft up into the air. No, it's the exact opposite. I'm hitting down too much. I'm hitting it really high in the face. You know, maybe I only catch a quarter or a third of the golf ball, and the rest of it's off the top of the club face, hits this crown and just shoots it straight up into the air. So that tells us that, all right, we shouldn't be hitting down. If I want to stop popping the ball up, I actually need to hit up. So I want to discuss a few things that we can do to get you hitting up on the golf ball. If this pop-up is something that you see like way too much, it's I got to get it out of my game, here's some things from a setup standpoint that we can do. All right, so it's almost guaranteed I get people show up on at my golf school on my lesson tee, and they have the ball teed really, really low with the driver. Well, I know as soon as I get them on track, man, because it's teed so low, they're definitely somebody who hits down on it. So they've learned that if I tee it high, like all these videos I watch tell me to tee it high, and if I do that, I pop it up. Well, the reason is, unbeknownst to themselves, is they're hitting down on it. So they like the ball very low on a tee to kind of accommodate them hitting down. So the first thing I'm going to have you do, if you're somebody who has that tendency of hitting a pop-up with the driver every now and then, is we're going to get it a little higher on the tee. I like about 1/2 to 3/4 of the ball above the top line of the driver. I have this teed a little higher. I kind of like it high on the tee, so I've kind of personalized it here. So definitely getting it higher on the tee. The other thing I could do is I can move it more forward in my stance. So you can see at some point, my arms in the club are only so long. At some point, it's going to start working back up into the air. Well, that's where I want to contact the golf ball. And so having it more forward, again, somebody comes to me and they have the ball in the middle of their stance or even a little back in the stance with the driver. I get them on track, man. Look at what the club's doing if I have it back in my stance. It's on the way down. It's not on the way up. And we want it on the way up to get rid of this nasty pop-up that we keep seeing. Now, one other thing that you saw as I had this ball forward and I was letting this club head move up into the air a little bit more is notice that I'm tilted. I've got some tilt of the spine because people who slide forward with the driver, again, you see I'm hitting down on it, I'm going to pop it up. So creating some tilt through impact is going to help us to hit up, not down, and get rid of this pop-up. Now, how do I tilt, or what's a good way to tilt? One way is I just take this club, I put it across my shoulders, and I just point it up into the sky. Because a lot of times what I'll see with students is they'll lean. You know, they won't actually tilt their spine or tilt their shoulders. They'll just kind of lean into their left side, or left or right side, depending on if they're left or right-handed. So one way, great way, just put the club across your shoulders. The other way is I can just look up at the sky. I can look up at those clouds over there, and as I do that, you can see that tilts my spine. So I'm somebody who hits down on the ball, I pop it up often. What am I going to do? I'm going to tee it higher. I'm going to get the ball more towards my front foot, my forward foot. It would be a right foot for a lefty like me. It'll be a left foot if you're a righty. And then I'm going to create some tilt by looking up or putting the club across my shoulder. And then really important is I'm going to maintain that tilt at impact. Because if I slide forward, well, now I'm hitting down on it again. So I got to make sure I stay back, and I just want to drive this thing up into those clouds out there. I want to stay behind it. I want to drive it up. So let's give this a try. So you identify, hey, I pop it up way too often. I want to get rid of this. You go to the range. I'm gonna take this lesson from Mark. I'm going to tee it a little higher than I normally do. If you're somebody who tees it low, I'm going to put the ball really far forward. Like I like the right big toe, like move it forward. And worst thing that's going to happen, you're going to hit it in the bottom of the club face. And if you hit it in the bottom of the club face, it's not going to pop up. It's going to come out really low. Because that impact, this club actually does that when you hit it low in the club face. Plus you can see there's not much loft in the bottom of a driver face. So that would be kind of like the other side of the coin. And as instructors, we do that a lot, right? Like get you doing the opposite. Okay, he or she is hitting it too high in the club face. We'll get them hitting it low, and then we can adjust and find the middle. All right, so I hit pop-ups way too often. I'm going to tee it a little higher than I normally do. If I'm somebody who tees it low, I'm going to get the ball more towards my front foot, the one closest to the target. And the last thing I'm going to do, I'm going to look up to the sky, those nice, beautiful clouds out there today. I'm going to look up to them. That's going to give me a little tilt of my spine, and I'm just going to maintain that through impact. Yeah, and that was really good. Definitely hitting up on that. So just a couple setup things you can do if you're somebody who pops up the golf ball. All right, so you get your setup squared away, you tee it higher, you get that ball forward, you can create some tilted address, you get it on camera, you can see, hey, I'm maintaining that tilt, I'm not sliding forward, but I'm still seeing the pop-up. Like, where is this thing coming from? Where do I need to look next to fix this awful pop-up that I keep seeing? And so another thing I see quite often when it comes to people who pop up the driver, we'll start with setup. It's a setup thing, is I'll see them start with their hands way too far forward. And what happens is, as they get to impact, they have too much forward shaft lean. Forward shaft lean is great when I'm hitting a ball off the ground and I need to get that divot in front, or if it's really low on a tee. But when I'm hitting a driver, I don't want forward shaft lean. That'll help me to hit up. So I want that right arm and that shaft to be in a nice straight line at impact. I don't want the hands forward. Well, some people who start with their hands way too far forward, somebody to watch for, look at your grip. You have a really, really strong grip. So strong grip is both hands turned away from the target. My target's over there. I'm doing this left-handed, obviously. I turn both hands away. Okay, look at me at setup. Look at me at impact. And also look at the profile of the club as it's coming into impact. That's pop-up all day long. If you're somebody who has a super strong grip, you're going to lead with the hands, you're going to lead with the top of this driver head, and you're going to be popping up a lot of golf balls. So get away from that super strong grip. So two things setup-wise to look at there. Make sure the hands, the butt end of the club, I like to have it always kind of at the right side of my belt buckle. Even if you feel like your hands are a little bit behind the golf ball, not the biggest thing. I was at the Tavistock Cup years ago that they used to play in Orlando, Isleworth against Lake Nona, and the first time I saw Justin Rose hit a driver, I was standing there. They let like 5,000 people in, no ropes. I'm standing a couple feet away from him, right in front of him, and he was literally set up like this with the hands pretty far back. I would consider it pretty far back for most people that I see. So again, not the worst thing to do to kind of help the club head get past the hands, help us to hit up on it, help us to line up the right arm in the shaft at impact. So one of it is setup, and then the other one is just, again, organically through my swing, just creating so much forward shaft lean. So I think the thought here is, it's like, okay, well that's me. I definitely do that. So how do I get away from it? The way you get away from it is you've got to feel some width in that downswing. And one of my favorite drills, I call it the simplest drill in golf, is just going to the top of my backswing, back to impact, and notice the ball's forward, I've got it high on a tee, I'm tilted back, and my right arm in the shaft, or my lead arm in the shaft, are in a nice straight line. This is going to help me to hit up on it and to not hit down on it. You know, the opposite would be handle way forward, me way forward, and you can see how I'm driving the top of that driver head, or the crown of the driver, into the golf ball, pop-up city. It's going to happen every time. So I'm going to hit one now, and I'm just going to kind of add everything together that we've learned. So I'm going to put it nice and high on the tee. I'm going to get it towards my right foot. I'm going to create that tilt. That was from the first segment. Just going to move it over here a little bit. That was from that first segment. And now I'm going to add the stuff from the second segment. What is that? I'm going to make sure my hands aren't forward at address, my grip's not strong. I don't have a strong grip, so I checked that box already. And then I'm going to work on seeing if I can line up my right arm in the shaft at impact, my lead arm in the shaft at impact, and just hopefully not pop it up. And that was a great drive right down the middle. Definitely wasn't popped up because I'm kind of exaggerating this stuff for the video. Both of those, the one from the first segment and that one there, came a little bit out of the bottom of the club for me relative to where I usually hit it, but that's fine. I mean, that's really far away from hitting a pop-up if you're hitting it in the bottom of the club. So now you know how to get rid of that pop-up you've been seeing. From a setup standpoint, tee it a little higher, get the ball forward, create some tilt, maintain that tilt into impact. That doesn't work. What we're looking for, make sure the hands aren't too far forward at address. Strong grip might contribute to that. And then line it up like a world-class player. Lead arm and shaft in a nice straight line at impact will keep you from hitting the top of the club face, will keep you from popping up your driver. So remember, please like, subscribe to my YouTube channel, and comment.